This was not the flight I was expecting to take today. Welcome to part 1 of my Malaysia Airlines business class experience from Hyderabad to Melbourne. Today's red-eye takes me on the shorter leg from Hyderabad, India to Kuala Lumpur. In this video, I'll show you how Malaysia Airlines regional business class stacks up, especially against the rivals like Singapore Airlines and Thai Airways. So let's get into it. Our journey begins in Hyderabad, a large technology hub in southern India. Malaysia Airlines operates a single daily service from here, originally scheduled on a Boeing 737 MAX, but swapped out at the last minute to the older 737-800 NG on the day of my flight. As expected, there was priority check-in lines available for business class passengers. Baggage allowance is generous too, with business class fares offering a minimum of 40 kilograms. Efficient check-in was followed by smooth immigration, but then security reminded me I was still flying out of India. The security screening process was inefficient and poorly managed, something that's sadly not uncommon at many Indian airports. Now, to be fair, Hyderabad airport itself is quite modern, spacious and well equipped with all the expected amenities. I was genuinely impressed by its scale and large gate count. According to my friend, the gate count is the third largest in India, after Delhi and Mumbai. Our lounge for the day was the Encalm lounge, specifically the Encalm Prive, which is reserved for business class passengers and those with airline status-based access. This is an extremely quiet and exclusive space, with glitzy lighting, a buffet area, as well as live cooking stations, and a full service bar. At the time of my visit, it was nearly empty, making it a genuinely relaxing experience. A quick word of caution if you're flying through India. The major airports generally have two types of lounges. I've seen this setup at both Delhi as well as Bangalore and Chennai. Alongside the Prive, there's also the regular lounge, which is typically for priority pass and card holders. And to be completely honest with you, I generally don't recommend these lounges in India. They're often overcrowded, and you might even find yourself standing in line just to get in. Anyway, it's time to board, and there's our 737 NG parked at the gate. At the time of recording, Malaysia Airlines operates a fleet of 54 narrow-body aircraft, split between the 737 MAX and the older 737 NGs. As I mentioned prior, this flight was originally scheduled to be on the 737 MAX, which would have been the first time on the MAX family for me. Part of me felt like I missed out. The MAX has a better cabin, and it would have been nice to finally tick it off my list. But even though I fully understand how safe modern aircraft are, another part of me felt a slight sign of relief. Maybe it's just that subconscious, but I'm not sure if it's justified hesitation that the MAX carries for some of us. Looking at the seat map, the Malaysia Airlines 737s feature just 12 seats in business class, arranged in 3 rows at the front, in a 2x2 layout.
Hello, Namaste. Hi. How are you doing, sir?
Stepping on board, I pretty much knew what to expect. It's a standard recliner seat, similar to what you will find on Qantas or Virgin Australia on their domestic and short-haul routes. I was seated in 1A, which offered slightly better legroom. Malaysia Airlines has given these seats a bit of a refresh with some thoughtful upgrades like USB-C charging ports and improved storage spaces. The recline and footrest controls are manual, and the headrest is adjustable, although it needs a bit of force to move. There are no amenity kits on this short sector, but pillows and blankets were provided, which is a necessity for a red-eye like this.
So some orange juice.
There was also a pre-departure service with a warm towel and a choice of drinks. We pushed back and began a long taxi on a wet and rainy night in Hyderabad. There was a bit of queue for departure before we lined up on runway 27L for an on-time takeoff. Now, one of the downsides of flying the 737 NG instead of the MAX is the lack of in-flight Wi-Fi. Instead, you get access to a wireless entertainment portal, which is a very light stripped-down version of the full in-flight entertainment system that we found on the Malaysia Airlines A330neos. There is also no way to track your flight on this portal. I was almost ready to skip the meal service and try and get some sleep. But then, I read the menu and saw the Satay service, which I couldn't resist to skip. The table was set up and the meal service began with a serving of packaged nuts and a drink. Then came the highlight, 4 satay skewers with a choice of chicken or lamb for Indian sectors. I went with 2 of each. And sorry Singapore Airlines, but Malaysia Airlines now takes the crown for the best satay I've had in the sky. With the cabin dimmed, I decided to skip the rest of the dinner. The mains on offer did look appetizing, but I wanted to save my energy and my appetite for the next flight, the A330neo. I managed to get a couple of hours of light sleep before the sun began to rise. I've actually never visited Malaysia, and the lush green views like this make me want to do so one day soon. Looking back, Malaysia Airlines 737 business class doesn't offer anything extraordinary apart from the standout satay and the meal service. It really comes down to what you're comparing it against. The only other direct option from Hyderabad to Kuala Lumpur is on AirAsia, which is a low-cost carrier. So in that context, this is obviously a step up. However, if you're using this flight to connect within Southeast Asia or onwards to Australia, it starts to feel a bit underwhelming, especially when airlines like Singapore Airlines and Thai Airways offer lie-flat seats on similar routes. That said, it's still a short 4-hour regional hop, the best one-world option available, and often significantly cheaper than the premium competitors. And for me, this flight was just a stepping stone, a way to connect onto something far more exciting, the Malaysia Airlines A330neo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to KL International Airport Terminal 1. To our visitors, selamat datang to Malaysia, and to our Malaysians, welcome back home. It has been our pleasure serving you by Malaysia Airlines and One Alliance. I hope you enjoy the Malaysian hospitality. To mitigate your future flights, we are wishing you safe and pleasant flying ahead.
And one last tip. After landing in Kuala Lumpur, business class passengers are offered a rather exclusive perk: a private luxury car transfer between the main terminal and the satellite terminal, or vice versa.
Good, thank you. Thanks for taking me.
This service is operated using a Mercedes S-Class, and it definitely adds a premium touch to the end of the journey. That said, the airport train is right there, and honestly, it's faster. So whether this is worth doing really depends on how much time you have and how much you want to lean into the experience.